Sorry, peeps, having some technical difficulties there with my intro. Give me 1 second. Let me try this again. There we go. Play on. Good evening, everyone. How is everyone doing tonight? We will keep this to about an hour. There's a lot of stuff going on. Other people got some good shows tonight to check out. So I won't keep you here too long. Tonight, we're going back to Flora, right? A little law in the Delphi case for now, and that usually doesn't happen. So anytime that happens, try to pick up some momentum for Flora if we can. I think it's a solvable case, but you need somebody to talk. And, maybe they will, maybe they won't. Maybe the police will get what they need to charge somebody and not just suspect people. So I'm going to show you a couple of things tonight, and I'm going to lay out basically my theory on motive without naming anyone's names because I don't know for sure. I'm not a cop. I'm not a Fed. I'm not really a profiler. I'm just a pretend one. And, of course, I got my shirt on tonight. Let me put this down a little bit so we can see that. I wanted to keep my signs up there that I got from the walk. Very appreciative. Thank you for those, who gave them to me. I have a lot of signatures on the back of one of them, so that's really cool. So that'll be something I will keep with me forever, and very grateful for that. So let's say hi to everybody, and let's get this show on the road. What do you say? CJK, how are you? Yeah, heartbreaking, very, very heartbreaking, and very frustrating too. How are you, Jill? Rescue all the dogs. What's happening this evening? Hi, Jinx. Always around, always in there. Oh, excuse me. I just had a Coach Kev burger, 2 of them actually. Rescue all the dogs. Hits a nail on the head. Kiana, Kiara. Cariel, Kyani, Everfor, Angels, justice for Galen. Yes, absolutely justice for Galen. We're going to talk about that too because, some people like to, say things about her, and that's, it reveals more about the person that's saying that when they attack a family of someone who's lost a child. But we'll get into that. Sure enough. 63 Clocks, how are you doing tonight? Good to see you. Gibbo, how are you doing, Gibbo? Lisa, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Mustang, always a pleasure to see you. Big Fish, how are you doing, Big Fish? I don't know. We were in I forget what chat we were in. It might have been a Frosty's chat, but I didn't know you had a channel and someone shared it. I subbed to your channel. I don't know if you could tell that when you on your studio page, you could see who new people subs or whatever's happening. Anisha, always good to see you. I know you're always around for the Flora stuff. Appreciate that. Good day to you too, Gibbo. What is up, Brandon? How are you doing, Brandon? Good to see you. Brandon has a channel. Probably, as I'm saying it, Jinx probably already shared his link in here before I even said it. Hey, Dave, out on a prowl. Sorry I don't ever get to watch any of your shows live, Dave, but I'm old and I go to bed early. The times I used to go out to the bar now, I'm going to bed. So 45 has done that to me. Dave has a great channel, though. Covers a lot of different true crime stuff, gets into the weather stuff. Really cool channel. Audrey, how are you doing, Audrey? Melissa, how are you, Melissa? Good to see you. It's a great t-shirt, which I got for free, which was awesome. It's really good material, too. I really enjoy it. Like to wear it. Phil Bond, how are you? Oh, Lisa, 4 out of 5 children. That's especially rough on that last kid because you're going to have that survivor's guilt for the rest of your life, and it's unfair, but psychologically speaking, it's what it is. Very sorry to hear that, Lisa. Hopefully they found the cause and at least gave her an explanation of what happened. Prepping for finals. I haven't taken a final in a long time. I don't know how good I would do at taking tests anymore. I was so at taking tests. But anyways, let's get into this a little bit. So Flora, right? We know Flora, November 2016, a few months before the Delphi case. 103 East Columbia Street. I'm pretty sure that's East Columbia Street there. I've been there, not to see the house, but to see the lot. And I encourage anyone that goes to Delphi to take a ride past there, because in my opinion, one of the first thing I ask people when they go to Delphi and they go to the bridge, how do you feel when you walk there? Because I know how I felt, and a lot of people feel the same thing. It's beautiful. Nature, the creek's really cool. The bridge is really cool. It is old, and it is, they've added to it. I didn't get to see it in its original state. I would have tried to walk across it, original state. I wasn't too keen on jumping over top of that little fence that they put up, because I've seen other people do it, but they don't weigh 245 pounds, 250 pounds. So last thing I want to do is go over that and poof, through one of them ties, and then you'll see if Coach Kev can fly, and he can't. Can't even really jump anymore. I didn't have crazy hops, but I could get up a little bit, not anymore. But the same feeling I had at Flora looking at that empty lot. It's ominous. There's an umbrella of sadness over top of it, if that makes sense. It's constantly there. And then it's like the yin and the yang. It's so beautiful. The town of Florida is so beautiful and so cool. I told you this when I came back. I didn't realize there was places like that still in the country. I thought that was like an Andy Griffith, an old movie, like a myth. But those towns in Indiana are just beautiful. You drive through these fields, and I found that it's corn and soybean, and then boom, you're up on a little town. There's 1 or 2 traffic lights. There's a little, mom and pop stores, and just fantastic looking stuff, and really taken care of. Not a lot of litter, hardly any litter on the streets like you see in the big cities. So I don't know if it's a country thing or not. And I'm definitely not a country boy. I'm a city kid. The streets were our playground as we ran around here in McKeesport. But I was really impressed by all of that. And I thought it was really cool seeing that. And it's different. And I look forward to going back again. Obviously, I'll be back at some point. I'm not a big trial person. So you're not going to come to me to get trial stuff, right? You want to get info. You got Frank, you got Turbo. If you want to hear from lawyers or how's this working, hear from them. Don't hear from a firefighter about the law. I'll give you my opinions on it, but basically it's no-go for me on that. But I encourage anyone that goes to that bridge to just ride past that house. There's a church right across the street. I parked in that parking lot of the church. I'm sure it's a private lot, but it was like 10 after 6 in the morning. So I'm itching myself. I'm covered in poison ivy. I'm spraying ivy dry. Me and my brother tried to get a baseball out of some weeds last Sunday before Memorial Day for my nephew. And we weren't successful. We didn't come out with the ball, but we both came out with poison ivy. But the things you do for your nephews, right? No problem. but check it out and go patronize the town. You know what I mean? Go stop at places if you can. But it's really cool, especially if you're from a city like me, seeing that way of life. It's very cool. It's very interesting. So a couple of things that I want to talk about here. And as I lay out my motive here, let me show you a couple slides first that I have. And they were in my short that I did today about Flora. I like try to do like a short or a bumper video. Goodness gracious, excuse me. See all the stuff I've been watching lately? I'm all over the place, right? LL Cool J, Queen. Yes, that's me. So what I want to do is go back. And I want to show you some slides that I put in there today, and I want to explain them. And I want to show you why I put them in there. So let me show you this first. I don't have the thing from the I'm gonna say Allegheny County. That's my county. From the Carroll County person. People have asked, are 911 calls public records? They absolutely are public records. They do not receive the same treatment the law enforcement receives. So you couldn't necessarily get law enforcement communications without a FOIA, or in the state of Pennsylvania, it's a right to know act for state stuff, but they are 100%. Now, what they'll do, they're 100% public information. They could remove names from there and maybe things that they deem are, offensive or egregious maybe, but you 100% should be able to get your 911 calls. There's a form to fill out, and they should be able to give them to you. So one of the questions is, why not release the 911 call? I have theories about that. None of us will know for sure, but I think someone said something, maybe not the caller from upstairs, but Miss Dawn's, but somebody did, right? Somebody said something there. And at this point, it's 2016. We're coming up on 8 years. There's no reason to hold it back, because whatever law enforcement has been doing to solve this case needs a boost. And I believe they are working it. Let me say that this is my belief that this case is being worked. And it's not necessarily by Flora or Carroll County or the ISP. So what's that tell you? Okay, so some people talked about financial. Hey, this is a fraud situation, and that's actually what it is. It's insurance fraud. And hey, this happens. The homeowners have had other places that burnt down and this and that. Okay, I understand where you're coming from, but financial motives for building fire. These are financial motives. So void or lease contract, that would be like a homeowner pissed off. I've seen that here before. Foreclosure, there was a spike in that when the housing market fell out. I'm not an economist. I don't remember what year that was, but you saw a lot of people doing that. If you ever watch the movie Goodfellas, when they take over the guy's restaurant, what do you do when you can't, pay another bill or borrow another dollar from a bank? You light a match, you burn the joint. I've seen that. Labor and rest, I haven't seen that. So that would be like, so let's say there's a labor union and they're bringing scabs in, and they are scabs. I'm a union guy. They bring scabs in to do the work for less money, and they break the union contract, and then the union guys start lighting shit on fire, which you can't do that anymore. I mean, this isn't the 30s. Hoff isn't around. You can't do that. And you have general insurance fraud. So general insurance fraud is, you burn up. A lot of times these are things that are done where they necessarily don't want to destroy their house. Maybe this has happened in my town. They burn a floor off, and they're pretty skilled at it, or else they're very lucky, or else we got there too fast. So you had a house that was 2 floors. Now it's 1 floor, right? So they're getting this money for that. Intimidation, 70% on the financial motives. So let's go back mafia days, right? You come to your store. Hey man, if you don't pay me money to protect you, they're gonna burn your place down. The guy says, hey, fuck you. I'm gonna stand up like Beansy Gata did in the Sopranos. And then they burn the place down. So that's something that a lot of people don't think about. But again, these are financial arson motives, okay? Let me go back here and let me show you this. And this is a big thing for me. And this is the reason that I don't think it's a it's a arson for insurance money. And there's a couple of different reasons, right? Maximum. Obviously, the top things are kind of Makes sense. Maximum effort to hide nature of the crime, period of financial crisis. Outdated inventory, that would be like a store or something like that. Relocating, renovating business, that's self-explanatory. Take advantage of government redevelopment incentives. That obviously didn't happen in Florida. So you see, you have the governments coming in and they're saying, hey, we're going to buy a bunch of this property. We're going to make it a waterfront. We're going to put a shopping mall up. And, you have a shitty garage down there that, hey, we'll give you 10 grand for it, but you could burn it and maybe get 35 or 40. That's what that is. False inventory claims, meaning, so they burned something and they said, let's say that the business had gluten-free hamburger buns, right? Just because that's why I just ate 2 of them. So they had gluten-free hamburger buns, and they're going to say, well, we're going to say we had 500,000 in there. Well, in fact, they had 100,000, so they'll recoup that money. This is it right now here. This is it right now here. Timing of the fire, children are out of the home. So if you believe that the owners of the house on Florida, Galen rented from, Birch Tree Holdings, did this for insurance money, and many people believe they point at that by saying they've done this other times. Look at these other buildings. They had businesses, yada, 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 caught on fire. So they've done it a time or two. So they're professionals. They're not ever going to do it with people in the home, especially children, not because they necessarily care about the people in the home or the children, but that's bringing heavy investigation like this. If that was just an arson fire and no one died in that house, no one would be talking about this. Nobody would be investigating this. So problem number one with this stands out even more than the Becky Patty thing, which I'll talk about in a second, where they, less than 50 grand. That's what the house was approved for. Anything else that you hear is horse shit. Okay. Timing of the fire, children at home. If this is a pro, and we call them pros, they are not doing this with people in the home. So if I can't pay my mortgage anymore, I'm going to have my buddy who's a torch. He's going to ask you, the first question he's going to ask you is, when's nobody home? They like to do it at night, obviously, because it's harder to be seen, especially with cameras. It's easier to kind of cover yourself up. When are you guys going away? When is everyone going to be out of the house? Okay. The removal of physical, listen to me, psychological valuables. So these are people that do it themselves. They'll take, you'll have a house and you'll go in the house. And one of the things that you notice as a fireman is, where's all the pictures at? Where's, people got diplomas hanging up. And we noticed that because one of the things that we do once we put the fire out is we remove those items that you can't ever get back. There's no monetary value on a picture of a baby picture, maybe mom and dad's picture, marriage picture, army pictures or military pictures of people in your family. We put the fire out first, and then we remove that from the water dam because that's going to get damaged with water. And then, of course, a faked vandalism. That's self-explanatory. Hey, I don't know. Someone threw something here and then boom, it caught my house on fire or my car on fire. And a lot of these too are including automobiles. People will burn their cars. We've seen that too. But if you believe that Birch Tree Holdings had something to do with this, if this is what you believe, and if you believe they've done this in the past, I refute you by saying if they're professionals 1 or 2 times at this, you're a pro, right? You take money once, you're a pro. But then the second, every time you get better, you're not burning that house with children in it. No way, shape, or form. It's still an investigation. And in my opinion, it's at the very highest level of our law enforcement, and they're looking at it now. That's just my opinion. But if that's just a torch job, and you know what? People that burn houses down, unfortunately, they don't get a lot of jail time. They don't get a lot of jail time. I have a problem with that as a firefighter. But they don't get what you would expect, especially if they're juveniles, unfortunately. They'll let them out, right? And we know, as we talked about the McDonald triad, fire setting, blah, blah, blah. We're not talking about that here. Here we're talking about straight insurance fraud. This isn't people, maybe they have a little bit of a fascination with fire, but there's a means to an end here. There's a third party. There's money involved. That's why I don't count people like Richard Kuklinski, no matter how many people he killed. I don't count them as serial killers because they did it for the money. They might have got a rush off it later on, and they might have, done this, but I don't count them as that because there's a third party involved there, and that's the contract, the person that gives you the contract, and that's the money. I believe those are all the things that I had to show you. Yeah, I didn't do the other one, the Carroll County thing, but I'm going to see what you guys have to say before I move on. And let me just say this too. Again, the Becky Patty thing. Some people claim there was a $300,000 rebuild. Obviously, they didn't rebuild the house. She approved the house for under 50 grand. There's very few Very few people that do that in that area. I didn't know that when I first got into this case because I'm like, well, wow, Drew Yoder's here, he's there. But now I understand it. There's duplication of services. There's overlap because there isn't that many people. It's a small population in a relatively large sized area, square mileage. And that's one of the cool things about Indiana. You're riding through and it just feels. And then you're like, wow, what is that? Is that a light up ahead? Boom, you're in a little town. But I've heard all kinds of stories about that. And I'm here to tell you that it's absolute horse shit. Under 50 grand is what the house was appraised for. If anyone says anything else, they're misinformed or they're liars. One of the two. There's no third option there. And maybe they're misinformed, but if you see that, inform them of that. You can find that. That's easy to find and easy to look. Maybe not easy to find, but it's definitely findable and it's easy to look up. So let me get to some comments here before I get too far. See what everyone has to say. Make sure oh my. Thomas Frost, Upside Down Pizza Kitchen. How are you doing? I hope Thomas does a live on cooking pizzas because he's come up with something phenomenal, the Upside Down Pizza. We just have to find a way so it doesn't fuck your oven up. That's a great username. I don't even know who that is. Your usernames are funny. I love them. I really do. Even if they poke fun at me. If they're funny. If they're stupid, I'll say they're stupid. But that's funny. That's just another story, I guess, altogether. All right, I'm back up here. Let me see, make sure I got everybody to say hello. And any questions on the insurance angle part? Now, listen, I could tell you from experience that we've seen a lot of arson. We see a ton of arson here. Probably 70% of our fires are arson fires. And in that arson, we include homeless people shacking up there and them trying to keep warm and accidentally lighting the fire. There's no shortage of abandoned homes in my town, unfortunately, but they're not going to burn a spot out that they live at, that they have some food, they have some clothes, they have things set up there. They might fall asleep, a candle tips over, and a lot of these places don't have windows. If you ever have candles, don't set them by a window. Please, 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 please don't set them by a window, whether you have drapes on it or not. Get them out of there if you have your candles, and make sure they're far enough away from a window. And if you're getting a breezy day, blow those candles out. I've been a fireman just over 22 years, and I've seen 3 or 4 houses, nice houses, occupied homes, that were caught on fire because of candles. People have them in their bathroom. They like to put them up. You know, maybe there's a ledge on the by the window in the bathroom. Don't put them there. Please don't put them there because it's bad business. What is up, Boston Christian? How are you doing? Good to see you. The bench with all 6 girls in it right across the street from where the house used to be. Yeah. Yep. How the hell did I miss that, Jinx? I forgot to look at that. I know where it was at, and I forgot to look at it. Maybe I was a little bit overtaken by being there. You cover something for so long, then you're actually there, and it's almost like, wow, is this even real? Is this happening? But I definitely encourage everyone that goes to Delphi to take a ride through and just see it. Yes, Audrey, if you're from Indiana, I think that's really cool, especially where I'm from. I'm from the concrete jungle, man. And I'm proud of it, and I'm happy with it. And maybe my girlfriend, in a few years when I retire, is going to have me agree to go to her home, the weather capital of the world, Punxsutawney, PA, and drive Amish people around. And we visited up there before. We're going to go back up to her folks' place at the end of June. And it's beautiful. And it's like, it's hard to explain growing up. You know, neighbors' houses are close together. Just being out there in the open. And I never thought I would like that. But I do quite a bit. Oh, I will. There's a lot of creators that kill Indiana. If you would listen to some creators and the way that they depict Indiana, I mean, you would think it was fucking Selma, Alabama in the 60s. The Klan's not marching openly on the street there. Is there racist people there? Absolutely there is. We know a few of them, right? Is there racist people in McKeesport? Absolutely there is. And in my town's 70% African-American, but there's still racist people. There's racist white people, there's racist black people, racist Chinese people. But the pitch, the narrative. Now let's get into that narrative. Wow, that's a good point. Let's bring it up. The narrative is that if you think that these racist Vinlanders, Odinists, whatever you want to say, did Delphi, and you want to link that to Flora, then you have to link this whole racist craziness going on. And there is racist, but again, I was there. I didn't see any outright racism anywhere from anybody. The population's majority white. Yeah. So, but I don't see any of that. And we got to remember something too. When racist people do a crime, they want everyone to know that they did it, and they want everyone to know that the reasonings they did it. You know, hanging people in the middle of town, bombing churches. They want people to know that. They're not going to hide it. They're not going to act like, oh, it wasn't us. You know what I mean? They're going to plant their flag right there and say, we did this, and here's the reason why. This is our cause. Because they're so fucked up in the head that they think that they're right. And they're going to stand on that. They're going to stand and they're going to move on that. So in regards to Delphi and Flora, to me, it's apples and baseballs. It's not even oranges. It's statistically weird that can happen to young girls that close together. And I think it was maybe 9 to 11 minutes it took me to drive from Delphi to Flora. 6 in the morning, no one's on the road. Not that the roads are packed or anything like that. You ain't going to hit any traffic there. But I don't see it. I don't think anyone, I think law enforcement, probably, I'm sure they vetted it out and they looked at it. I'm sure there were some tips that came in of all those tips that linked it together, but it just isn't the case. And people are going to continue to push their narrative so it links up. Okay. And at the end of the day, I think eventually there will be an arrest here. It reminded me something I want to say at the end. Excuse me. I think there will be an arrest here at some point. And I think you're going to see it wasn't an insurance job. It wasn't some kind of clan, whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? It isn't that because they'd be claiming it, right? They'd be like, yeah, that was us. And we did this because we don't want black people to live here. They want to come out publicly and said it, but they'd have left something. They'd have left a calling card. That's what these groups do. They're so fucked up in the head that they think that what they're doing is right and what they're doing is just. So, you know, it is what it is. Follow Ashley Schaefer. Fantastic work. Delphi Dummies just got me in a video. I'm flattered by it. Wow, Melissa and Mustang are carrying on quite the conversation. Chocolate gravy. I've never heard of that, Melissa. Oh, wow. I'm not sure where you live, Brandon, but most here are arson. We're poor, depressed city. We had the mills, we had National Tube here. U.S. Steel was down the street from my house. And people lost a lot of money. So there was more in the 60s and 70s than now. Now most is arson, and there are a lot of abandoned houses. The city's done a good job. We had in I think it was 2008, we actually went in our trucks and we were writing houses up. If the roof was down, if the windows weren't boarded up, if the door was off, they'd be able to tear it down. They got grants. But we had something like, goodness gracious, I don't want to fumble the number, but it was like 9,000. There was over 10,000 abandoned houses in town. The city's torn down as many as they can. What's up, Miss P? No troll. That's okay. Not a problem. Yes, Audrey, Frosty. Hopefully he does. He cooks his pizzas upside down in the oven. Frozen pizzas. Gibbo. That's just what a troll would say. Now that's funny too. Brandon, I don't see it being insurance fraud either. And again, they're not going to do it. If you're accusing Birch Street Holdings of doing this, look, they're responsible for the smoke detectors. They're responsible for any electrical issues in the house. They're ultimately responsible. They were found, I guess, not maybe guilty is not the right word, in civil court where there was a payout, but it was nowhere where it should have been, what it should have been. But if you think that they've done this before and they're going to burn a house with children inside, your theory just fundamentally lacks logic, and it lacks thinking. So again, you got your square peg and you're trying to jam it in a round hole, and that's just not the case. We could have different opinions on Flora. I will never be a gatekeeper of Flora. Any information I have, I'd send to anybody, even people that I disagree with on Delphi. as long as they're not family blamers, and as long as they're not, the family has explicitly asked them to quit covering the case. Those people I don't want to speak to anymore. I don't want to talk to. I wish them the best. I hope that they find their zen or their peace in life. But you're not getting anything from me. I'm not helping you do anything, against the families. And there's people that openly talk about it, and there's subs that openly talk about it, and there's creators that defend that. And it's reprehensible. If you have something and you have proof, tip it into the police. No one has any proof. No one tips in anything. They try to cryptically put stuff up. And then at the end of the day, say it with me. Today's word of the day is horse shit. They spread horse shit, so we'll leave it go. Yes, Melissa, let me be clear. Frosty, upside down pizza, not upside down pineapple. Wink, wink. Somebody watching this right now just got pissed off. But it's all in good fun. Frank Meister. What is up, Frank Meister? Frank Meister, I didn't play Suzuki today because he didn't start. He came in and pinch hit and hit a goddamn home run for me. So that's Frosty using his initials. Oh, you think? Well, that is Frosty's initials, but that could be anybody making fun of him too. Well, Frosty has 1,000 subs, so maybe it is Frosty. I don't. Every person in this chat right now might be Frosty. Kathy, how are you, Kathy? Kathy has some great info. Talk to her a lot. Kathy's the one that one of the reasons I'm doing this live tonight. There was some talk going on, and Kathy says, "Hey, we did a Flora week before, so maybe we'll do something official like that again." I talked to Marv. Marv's having her show tonight at 8 on Tabitha Shuck Reigns. Encourage you to go watch that. Randy just went live at 7, and I think he put his up after mine. I wouldn't win against Randy because I definitely enjoy the Troll Shovel Network, digging up facts and kicking ass. That's what the OG does. So if you're here with me now, pop over here when we're out of here. We're only going to stay till about 7:30. Check Randy out. Definitely check Marv out. But again, any creator ever wants me to come on their channel, we could have been on polar opposites of Delphi. You could think Richard Allen's totally innocent. I think I'm 99% sure he's guilty. If I'm wrong, I'll come here and say it. But I'll come on and chop it up with anybody. Really, I will. As long as you're not blaming families, and basically as long as you're not a piece of shit. If you're a piece of shit, then you can get your own information. But by far and away, most of the people here are not pieces of shit. Not necessarily not in our chat, but other people that, hey, Coach Kev's wrong about Delphi. That's fine. Well, let's work Flora. Let's see what we got there. And I'm just trying to show you that the likelihood of this being an insurance job, in my opinion, is absolutely minute. I only have 16 hours of fire scene investigation. So I'm definitely not a fire marshal. We have fire marshals here from the county to come in, and they see, I can't even tell you how many fires they go to in this Mon Valley. Less than 45,000. Yeah, Becky, because the bank had her, not the homeowners. Yeah, so she works for the bank. And, it ain't Wall Street out there. There isn't 150 banks to choose from. So when somebody that's looking into a case sees these names overlap, or, hey, there's David Erskine. Here he is with his uniform on, not standing there without his uniform on. And I've been a fireman over 22 years. I've never seen someone at a fire scene with someone else's coat on. And here's the reason why you don't wear other people's shit. It's like packing your own parachute, right? You check your own air pack in the morning, because in my coat, I have it set up different than everyone else's, right? I'm a righty. So I have my lineman snips. We always carry stuff to keep in case we get stuck in wires in my right pocket, because I'm a righty. So I'm going to grab across that way. So anyone that's telling you that people are wearing other people's shit, they're lying to you, or they're misinformed. They just don't know. Take it from a fireman, for career fireman for 22 years. You ain't wearing no one else's shit, especially a coat. I've given a guy a helmet one time who came in on a call out and forgot his helmet. And I was working the pumps, so I probably wouldn't need it. But that's the only time I could ever remember anything like that. But people say, oh, Erskine, he was, on the team or whatever to discover the bodies, whatever he was there. That's him in the coat. No one else has his coat on. And that is not Anthony Greeno standing there in a blue coat. My eyes ain't that bad. I've heard people say that too, but people will just say anything anymore. And we just want to debunk that as much as we absolutely can. They do. You get the job done. I don't care what you are. You get the job done and you go after it. CJK. Excuse me. Jinx doesn't think it's security fraud either. I just thought something else somewhere. Excuse me. Coach Kev Berbers are barking back a little bit here. Yeah, just some closure. You're never going to get the girls back. Life's never going to be the same. I keep bumping my table. I'm sorry. It's never going to be the same. Your Galen's never going to be whole. And despite what some people think, Galen is intelligent enough to make her own decisions. I'm fully confident in that. And there's people that say that she isn't, she has this mental capacity, and people actually say that. And it isn't true. It isn't true. She's a wonderful woman. And was Becky Patty buying the house? No, she was. No, whoever told, if that's, maybe that's just a question. I don't want to jump on you where you got it from. Apologies for that. But no, she was never buying the house. Derek German never did electrical work. He took pictures. People, it's just the stuff that's put out there. Some of it's just, it's very easy to, I thank them because it's so easy to refute. It's crazy. Yeah, here's the reason the banks do that, right? So let's say I want to have my house appraised, and I tell the bank, yo, bank, I got my boy's going to come here and do it. And, they come back and say, oh, your house is appraised at $1 million. Oh, in McKeesport. Okay, all right, well, we'll give you the money. No, they always use their people. So there's really nothing between her and Birch Tree. She might have done other things for Birch Tree, possibly in the past, and there isn't too many appraisers out there. There isn't that many people that live there. So you see firemen and policemen overlapping. There are different calls. I thought it was wild too. I didn't understand it. But all it takes, folks, is to do a little bit of research, and then you move on from that, right? Ron Logan's bridge guy. God, I thought that too. But then I researched for about a half an hour and realized, well, that's physically impossible. And you move on from things like that. And that's something that the true crime world has a hard time with. And it's not new people. It's people that have been here for years that still think of it. You got to move on, and you got to say, I was wrong. I've been through 4 POIs in Delphi, and none of them was Richard Allen. I didn't have that on my bingo card. And it should be okay for all of us to say that to each other too. Yes, Becky just does appraisals. That's her gig. How many intentionally set fires are there arrests? God, it's probably less than 20%. It's definitely under 0.25%. You almost have to catch somebody in the act or have them admit to it. And they're really, usually the professionals aren't admitting to it. And usually the professionals you don't catch in the act. I mean, you might have a police prowler going by on patrol and happen to see somebody with a gas can lighting something on fire. But it's rare. Now, when people die in fires, that I don't know that percentage. I'd have to look that up. That's a good question, CJK. But that's a lot higher because there's more, honest, to keep it real, there's more resources pulled into a death, especially child's death, as opposed to just, that house burnt. Well, none of the firemen got hurt. There's no exposure. If we find out who did it, we find out who did it. But they almost always need to catch you in the act, or later that night they'll catch you, with the stuff in your car still, or whatever the case may be, or you admit it to another, you admit it for whatever reason. No. And listen, let me explain this. If you're talking about life insurance, I can carry out life insurance. I don't know if it's a state law or federal law. I can carry out a life insurance policy on anybody. I could carry out a life insurance policy on the governor of Pennsylvania if I wanted to, right? Now, if something happened to the governor of Pennsylvania and I just took a policy out, they're going to come look at me. But I don't know if you guys knew that. You could take an insurance policy out on anybody. I'm going to be related to you, nothing. So, no, there was no insurance policy that I'm aware of that was taking out on the girls. There was no homeowners. It was just it was the home, because they didn't own the contents of the home. So usually renters will have insurance. Well, not usually. Actually, less than half the time here, renters have insurance to replace the items within the home. They had the shell or the house itself, was would be replaced. Now, if they own the ovens, the hot water tanks, things like that, they can also add that to it. But they're not getting money for couches or the contents of the house. They could get big appliances and things like that, but that's just that's the skinny on that. Anyone here in this chat could take a life insurance policy out on me, and I hope that when to make you wait a while to cash in on it. Yeah, but it's possible here, and I'm not sure if you're from America or not. But like I was saying, you could take it out on anybody. Now, if they had a life insurance policy taken out on the girls, I'm sure we would have heard about that. We'd have heard about that from the family. Something would have heard, and that would have definitely perked up some law enforcement investigators. So what we know and we're pretty sure of is it's the house, the shell. I think that's what shorts people call it. The outer shell, the house itself. Yeah, dogs and cats too. I've seen a dog start a fire on a stove before. They were cooking something on a stove, and I don't forget what it was, but they were using grease, and the dog had jumped up, unbeknownst to them, and turned the stove on halfway, and they get up, and there's a smell. The grease is burning in the pot. It wasn't hot enough for the grease to begin to catch on fire, but it was just smoldering black, like, oh, the kitchen was nasty. Burnt grease fire and car fires are the worst smells. You can't get them out of your nose. Can't get them out of your hair. The guys that have hair complain about that. Me, it's gone. But yeah, that's a good point too. I didn't say that before, to bring that up with dogs also. Cats, dogs, especially cats. My girlfriend has 3 cats. We'll be sitting there watching TV, and it'll come up we'll have like something sitting, like maybe my weed pen is sitting on the table, and that cat will come across the table and look at me and look at my weed pen and look at me again, and it'll just be like whack. And then it'll look at me like, what are you gonna do? I don't hate cats, but I'm a dog person. I don't think Odin links to Flora. Yeah, there could be people that worship Odinist in Flora. The person that did this could be of a Odinist religion, possibly. I don't think so. Not racially motivated, despite those fanning. Yeah, what happened after, the way Galen was treated after, I think that was racially motivated. For members of various fire departments, and we know who they are, to talk to the investigative journalist about her carrying a gas can from a gas station that wasn't open on camera, that didn't exist. If she was a white lady, I don't think they'd have done that. I don't. Odinites, yeah, the rocks. That was in a defense. That was Frank's motion 14. I'm not sure which one it was. Yeah, and it's something that I thought growing up, oh, hillbilly, they're out there cousin fucking and tipping cows. That ain't the way it is at all. And I learned that, like in my 20s and having exposure from different people and things like that. And then to drive out to Indiana, I got to tell you, I was just like taken back by it. I'm not like a sightseeing guy necessarily. If it's cool, I'm not going to drive 2 miles to see the world's largest ball of twine or anything like Clark Griswold. But that the air's fresh, it's different, and it's cool. It's really cool to see other things and to meet different people from different cultures. And what do they eat? What do they do? And, all the people that I've met here, whether it's on YouTube or in person, everybody talks a little bit different, and they use different slang for things. And I think it's awesome. We make fun of people for the way they talk. People make fun of me for saying yuns. It's all good. I think that's a good thing. And I think that's the way America should be. I don't think it was racial. Believe it, that links to Delphi, be a big leap. Yeah, people are making a big leap, I think. When you first hear about this and you hear that those cases were so close together and there was, minor children involved, girls, then you could start making those links, but they fall apart pretty quick. There is a rash of fires in Carroll County. The mortality death rate for minors there is several 100% above the national average. Why is that? Is that bad luck? I don't know about all that. Do you want to link Flora to other fires? not including Delphi, but fires kind of with the same MO. I'm all ears for it. I haven't seen it yet, but you can talk Stephanie Thompson. Stephanie Thompson was the state trooper. Her and her daughter were killed in a very fast moving fire with no origin. When they get a fire with no origin, and you have state police investigating, you have really good, people investigating these things, that fire burned fast and hot, because what it does is it burns the evidence away if it's that fast and that hot. So I don't know what kind of accelerant or anything like that would have been used, or how they did it. It doesn't even have to be an accelerant anymore. These guys and gals that are torches are really good at it. But when people see that she did lie detectors for Delphi and Flora, that's a link. It's a link. Well, again, it's the same person who does lie detectors out. I think she was out of the Lafayette barracks. You don't have 50 state police lie detector people in that area like you do here in Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? So you use the same people, and people see that and they just run amok with it. Just vet it out first. Whoever did Flora knew they would not get caught, because it deals with a black woman and 4 girls. Police would halfway investigate. I agree with you somewhat there. When there's crimes with children, we had cops over the years in McKeesport that I wouldn't say were good people. They were bad people, and some of them were racist. But when a child was involved of any race, they brought the batons out and they whooped people's asses. And maybe that's not the most PC thing to say, but I think that they were sad about the girls, but they found blame in Galen. Police-wise, Doug Carter said at a press conference, the days immediately following Flora, they weren't our best days. And I hear he's retiring. He made an announcement at the Indy 500, and his last Indy 500. And I expect him, hopefully this trial goes through in October, or they plead out before. Goodness gracious, excuse me. Holy mackerel. He and the police owed the town of Delphi and Carroll County an explanation. They don't owe us shit. Maybe they do down the line, maybe 4 or 5 steps removed, but they owe that town to say, hey, why did it take so long to get this guy who lived right there? And hopefully, if it's Carter or not, when this case gets adjudicated, Flora, they get the person or persons that are involved, person and whoever helped them, covered things up. Whatever they did, they come out and say, let's explain to you why we want this investigation. And Doug Carter has stated that Galen Rose is not a suspect. Not a suspect. So anyone that tells you she's a suspect or she was a bad mom, it's all horse shit. Word of the day. Horse shit. Hold on a second. I could see this appearing on Delphi Dummies. Word of the day. Horse shit. I wonder if YouTube will wang me for that. Oh, well, no biggie. It's funny, right? Funny's funny. Let's see what else we got. Yes, thank you. Give me a thumbs up, like, and share. And I see a lot of you folks here, and I talked to some of you in Discord. I'm waiting for you guys to get channels, man, because you got a lot to bring. And once you get out there the first time, if anybody ever wants to come up with me, you'll get over it, and then you kind of start doing your thing. Junior, what is up, my man? It's good to see you as always. They would make sure, yeah. Oh, is there a lot of pubs in the UK they torch? I'm sure there's probably a lot of pubs in the UK. That's interesting. I didn't know that, Gibbo. Yeah, the professionals that, number one, they're not doing it with anyone home. And it's not because they care about people or they're good people. The investigations is coming because they want to know what happened to those people. Eris has quite the group of guys that do maintenance. Yeah, I think you're being smart there. Our town has catastrophic floods. Oh, wow. I didn't know that, Brandon. That's something I didn't think about that either. Maybe you're down, if you're down in the Nollins area or not. I'm trying to think of places that have flooded really bad. Next steps for who to get this. Yeah, anything we can do. Anyone that has a creator that covers Flora, if they ever want to have me on, again, as long as they're not family blamers, as long as they're not pieces of shit, and as long as the family hasn't explicitly asked them to quit covering the case, I'm there. I don't want anything from it. I'll send them all the documents I have. Like I said, Marv's stepping up here. I've been sending her. She's been sending me stuff. That's Mark. Excellent, Mark. Excellent. That's a good one. So would you say the appraisal and the fire are coincidental? Yes. I think whoever burned the house didn't know about the appraisal, or Becky Patty did it. Yes. Coincidences are strange. I mean, it's not that huge of coincidence. Was the appraisal it was that year. So I could see where people get there and say, oh, hey, this and that. But Libby and Abby didn't know anything about the appraisal. People say, oh, they did this. They have a secret to tell. It's not about it's, you know, in my opinion, it's horseshit. And it's people trying to do that. I'm not attacking you. The world is mine at all. So don't think I am. But I don't think that's. And again, you're going to murder 4 children for 50 grand. No, I don't. I just, there's no way. I don't see it. What about the officer? Yeah, Boston. That's what I was talking about. That's Stephanie Thompson. And again, yeah. So if you come in and you look at that and you say, wow, she did lie detectors for Flora and she did lie detectors for Delphi. Her granddaughters were killed, but there's probably only, I'm going to even guess, maybe 2 people within maybe a 25-mile radius to do the work that she does. And again, it's sent by the bank. It isn't like Birch Tree Holdings picked anyone out or anything like that. And I don't want to seem like I'm a Birch Tree Holdings cheerleader, because I'm not. They have responsibilities in Indiana. They have to keep smoke detectors up to date. We don't have to do that here in Pennsylvania. We give them out to people. Actually, the new smoke detectors, I don't know if you guys knew this, you can't even take the batteries out anymore. They have lithium-ion batteries, and you can't remove the smoke detectors anymore. So what the smoke detector companies have done is they're smart business move. They say they're good for 7 to 10 years. I'd say anywhere from 5 to 12. That's a big gap, right? The battery goes bad, you'll get a code, or you could check things out. So for instance, you have a smoke detector that beeps every 30 seconds. It's not picking up fire. It's not picking up a CO alarm same way. If it continuously alarms, beep, 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 CO detector, it's picking up something. So either it's picking up carbon monoxide or it's malfunctioning. A smoke detector that's constantly beeping, and some of them are very sensitive. You could get hairspray. I've seen hairspray. A lady spraying her hair in the bathroom. She had the big old 80s hair. She had an Aquanet, doing one of these numbers, and it got in there. And it was a hardwired one, so it went all around an apartment building, and it was wired right. So everyone in the apartment building was notified. And we're like, hey, what were you doing? I was putting hairspray in. And she had this big old can, if it was Aquanet or not, whatever them big things were. And we were like, yeah, that can do it. And we actually took a bottle in, an air bottle from our packs. We have extra ones. And one of the guys held it up and he turned it on and it blew that stuff out of there. It's like a can of air almost, but under about 4,500 pounds of PSI. So, yes, Frosty and his 10,000 alts. Yeah, the shovel's cool. Yeah, so I'm going to get out of here in a couple. I encourage you, go check Randy out. I've always enjoyed Randy. He's the OG. It was awesome meeting him. Didn't know Randy's as tall as me. I didn't know that. Disgruntled ex-tenant. In this case, I don't think so. And remember, there was other people living upstairs too. That's who called. Miss Dawns is the one that called 911 that lived upstairs. And there was a relative of heirs. So that's another thing. Are heirs going to burn a house with their relatives in it? That's a big point. I have that written down, but I missed it here. I apologize for that. So again, I don't see it. Delphi dummies. He's going to have or she. I honestly don't know who Delphi dummies is, and I don't want to know. But they're going to have a field day with this. Disagreement should be open discussion, not hate for each other. Yeah, it's tough. You're right, and I've been guilty of it. I blasted people. I've doxed a guy, and I don't think he's a good person, but I feel bad about doing what I did, even though he showed pictures of my kid. I'm not you. I'm different. My last rant, Jinx is my friend, and people were going after my friend and saying lies about my friend who's done probably more on the ground work for so many cases. Frank's out there doing it, Rescue All the Dogs. They're out there doing it. And you're going to sit back in your wannabe Ivory Castle and blast these people. Maybe I'm fucked up. Maybe I'm wrong for it, but I'm coming out guns blazing on you. My friends mean a lot to me, and I will do that always. And I could be wrong, but I ain't changing. Subscribe to Troll Shovel. Did you share that? Jinx, please share it. Randy's awesome. I'm going to get out of here in a couple. Check him out. Check out Marv with the Tabitha Shucks Reigns case. I got to meet her. It was her dad or her stepdad. And wow, he was at the Delphi Walk. He was supporting other people. He actually did an interview with me that someone asked me to get some interview stuff. I don't even know who it was. And he went on for about 5 minutes, and I was just like, wow, this guy's maybe it's just me, and you felt it. Like, you felt his energy. Like, yeah, this guy needs our help, and this is a guy that's worthy of our help. And so check that out. Well, thank you. The world is mine. Shaq, who's one of my favorite basketball players, had a clothing company. It was called Twism, and that's what it stood for. That's what it stood for. That's for you Delphi dummies. Not for any other creators that might use those words. Twism, the world is mine. Oh, yes. The 4-part series, Wish 8. I can't remember the guy's name that did it. He did a great job. I think I've shared that before, but I'm going to be sharing some more Flora stuff tonight, and that'll be one of the things. God, I forget everything. I have to write everything down. Then if I lose my paper, I'm screwed, right? At work, I write stuff on my hand, people's addresses. Then I wash my hands, and I'm like, oh, shit, I can't see good either. That was a remark meant to demean by someone trying to make herself look intelligent. Yeah, and you know what? It had the opposite effect, CJK. You hope that those people see the light someday, because their lives are absolute misery. A ton of weird arsons, Boston Christian, a ton, way above the national average. You can't come out and say there's a serious person working or a serial arsonist, but God, it sure seems like it is. It sure seems like it is. Whether that is involved in the Flora Fire or not, there are tons of fires out there, and there's tons of people that die. And you can say, oh, it's a volunteer department and it's rural. Yeah. So maybe they don't get there as fast or whatever. Maybe they don't have the opportunity to train as much because they're working other jobs, but they're out there busting their butts for free. And in other places, you don't see those numbers that are similar geographically and population-wise. Well, it's more about that other person than it is about Galen herself. More and more cameras, houses, I'd hope. Yeah. Well, again, you're going back to 2016, and even that area, that block, there's been deaths and fires. That block where that house is, I think it was it a dentist office or something, or a dentist, whatever it was? No. Don't think it was personal, huh? I don't think it was personal, Lisa. And again, if you think it was for money, and if you think Birch Tree did it, would they light a house on fire with their relatives inside? Who were the upstairs neighbors? Crockpot caught on fire. Oh, wow. I'm guessing it was the plug. Something went wrong with the plug, Boston. My girlfriend watches that. What's that called? This Is Us. And I guess there was a big crock pot fire. It was real sad. So every time I cook with the crock pot, you better stay home. I got it, babe. I got it. We're good. I'm making my burrito tacos. Toilet toffees. Like every prison in the world has the same toilet setup. But hey. Thank you, Junior. Buck Gallatin making an appearance. The only racist I know around Flora is that meow chick. Our town supports and loves Galen. We love all sorts of, yeah. Well, people have their own minds and their own opinions. Some people that you come in here and you get get to know people, and then things happen, and it legitimately hurts you. Yeah, it legitimately hurts you. But I'm a big boy, and buck out, and I've seen you around. You have very interesting comments and funny comments. Ruckus, how you doing, brother? I want to get into Ruckus. Hope everything's going good. You're a good man, Charlie Brown. You're a stand-up dude, and you need anything or you need a laugh, feel free to call me, my friend. Doesn't hurt mine, Buck. Might have been hurt before. Tech Death, how are you? Okay, babe. Well, Miranda, how are you doing, Miranda? Good to see you. Wow. Brandon, Watseka, Illinois? I know the S's. I shouldn't say the S. Sorry. Watseka, Illinois? I was thinking you were like near a coastal place or something, or maybe near. Hey, Four Pits has come into the chat. We recycle and respect the land. I'm not sure what you're commenting about, Pits. Oh, meaning how I think the land's really beautiful. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure you do. Yeah. For someone like me from the city, it's quite the change, and it's quite the good change. Half of the men here have been doxxed online. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say when you say you, and if you live there, Buck, I don't think I've done anything bad to the town of Flora. I was critical of people early on, and I probably shouldn't have been, but never with the town. However, if you live there, I could see how you could feel that way, and I don't fault you at all for feeling that way. I would try to put in my position where if something happened here in McKeesport and everyone kept saying, truthful, crazy stuff, whatever kind of stuff. I get it. Buck, you got a free pass for me. I'm pretty sure you live there. You said that. I wouldn't expect that you would make that up. So I get where you're coming from. I couldn't imagine what that would be like in a small town like that. People's names being used, this being dropped, that being dropped. So who is the semi company that parked the semi trailer on part of the Flora house land that is not right? Oh, I don't know. Whoever owns that, they might rent a spot for them to park there. I mean, once the house, morally, I can see what you're saying, but if they own that property or that piece of land, that they could do what they want with it. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know anything about it. I saw it there though. Yeah, baking soda will work, or if you could put the lid on it. If you put the lid on, it'll go out, because what you're doing is you're taking part of the fire tetrahedron, or as I like to call it, the fire square away. You're removing oxygen from the fire. The fire will go out. Yeah, I see where you're coming from. Morally, yeah. I get it. You know what I mean? I'd love to see them put a park there or something like that. Honestly, I don't know, something for the kids to go play, and remember, put a little picture up or something. And every time you go there, you tell the kids, "Hey, these girls lived here, and some terrible thing happened, but we were able to, flip that script a little bit and get some good energy in here and stuff like that." I'm trying to get everyone's comments. I have a couple things to say before I get out of here. Make sure I said hi. Mother of all dragons, how are you doing, ma'am? Good to see you. Yeah, if you could get to the grease fire and you could get the lid on it, that's the number one way to put it out. Keep in mind that you could get burnt really bad with grease. It's like steam and hits your skin and spreads out, as opposed to a direct flame will burn you in that spot. But steam or grease hits your skin and burn and goes out. So you'll have like right where it hit, and you'll have all around it. So just be really, really careful with that. I'm popping through here real quick, guys, because I really wanted to keep this in an hour. Mary Fleener, how you doing? Good to see you. I agree with you there. Money is the root of all evil. I think something else is too, but I don't want to offend anybody. My personal opinion, it doesn't have anything to do here. I'm a spiritual guy. Oh, mother of all dragons. Thank you so much. You're fantastic as always. I know you're always here. Yeah, or the boys didn't do good, but the girls are balling out, huh? I'll have to check it out. Excellent. How we lose to Penn State. God. This is a football area, or guys would be killing me on my Facebook about Michigan losing to Penn State. But anyways, a couple things I'd like to say before I get out of here. I got a buddy from YouTube who's a really good guy that's going through it. And, I'm a phone call away if you need it. And, what you did for your family member is the utmost stand-up thing that you can do. And I appreciate having you as a friend. I really do. And I look forward to whatever you have going on moving forward and helping solve the cases or whatever it is you're working on, but if you need a laugh or you need a phone call, don't be shy to do it, for sure. And what was the other thing I had to say here? Oh, I want to leave it at this here. And if I'm going to channel my inner Doug Carter for a second, if the person that did this crime, and depending on how the police play it and how you play it, the person who did this quadruple homicide of 4 children, I'm sure you had a reason to do it. I, like the police, don't necessarily think you wanted to kill those little girls. But if you don't come forward and tell them their story, tell them your story, and have some kind of peace or some kind of explanation for what you did, they're going to find you. This is being worked at the highest levels of government that there is, in my opinion. And when they find you, they're going to fucking hang you from that town square. And you would deserve that. The only way that you could seek any kind of salvation from the afterlife, from this life, or from any other life is by, for one time in your life, being a man and coming forward. And unaliving yourself is not going to get it done, because they're eventually going to find out it was you. And then your family's going to have to live with that. Wow, we thought that was a good family. They raised a child murderer, a 4-time child murderer. It doesn't have to be that way. If you had a personal grudge, you felt slighted by somebody in that house or someone that was in that house that night, you need to get out in front of it. Because I don't know if it'll be today, I don't know if it'll be tomorrow, but the day is going to come where they're going to knock in your door. And they're not going to knock at it. They're going to blow it off the fucking hinges. And everyone in that house is going to be affected by it. They're never going to forget the day that they came and took dad, brother, son out. And they dragged him out of the house. And they used his head to open the police car door. And then you get to prison. You burn 4 little girls. Oh, you're going to be a fucking piñata. You're going to be a piñata. You could be a man like you probably have never been in your life one time. And you could come forward and you could tell the police, this is what happened. I didn't try to kill those girls. I wanted to do this or that. And it got out of control and it got out of hand. And maybe the afterlife will find some pity on you. I won't, never, but that doesn't matter. How I feel doesn't matter. So it's going to be one way or the other way. You could do it the easy way or you do it the hard way. And if they do it the hard way, it's going to be extra no grease. Promise you that. Promise you that. So the ball is in your court. You've been carrying this around for almost 8 years. And I think you think there's an afterlife. Well, there's one of 2 places you can go. And you ain't going north, my friend. You're going south. If you come forward, you explain it. You tell the police, you let the families know what happened. Hey, I didn't try to do this. Then maybe you have a chance at that afterlife. But the way things are going, my friend, I don't know. You have a chance to redeem yourself. Will you do it or will you not do it? Either way, your days are numbered. Your days are numbered. So enjoy that fresh air as long as it lasts. Could be tonight. Could be a year. Could be 10 years from now. But they're coming. Oh, they're fucking coming. Guns blazing. So we shall see. If this ever gets to the person that did this, just think about that. My email is kvlar148@gmail.com. You ever want to talk to me, tell me anything, it's there. Do it. Explain yourself. Explain how you tried not to kill these girls. But if you don't, it's just a matter of time, right? All right. I appreciate everybody who came into this chat tonight. I appreciate everyone's comments. I appreciate everyone covering Flora. Share this video if you like it. Ask your other creators that you follow to cover Flora. I'll go on anyone's channel to help with Flora. I'll send anyone any information, as long as they don't blame families, as long as they're not pieces of shit, and as long as the family has not asked them to not cover the case. Anything I could do to help anybody. I'm no gatekeeper of this, that's for sure. It's very solvable. And have good thoughts. Send it good vibes, right? Maybe a little bit hippie in me. Rest in peace, Bill Walton. Four Pits, me and you could agree on that. Rest in peace, Bill Walton. A little bit of hippie in me. Send them vibes out to have this case get solved, for Galen to find her peace, and to be able to move on with life in some way, shape, or form. And it's unimaginable. But I thank you all so much. I hope you have a great Thursday. Check out Randy's Troll Shovel channel. I'm sure there's some awesome shit going on there. Randy's the OG of Delphi. There he is. And then more of later with Tabitha, a case that's close to her heart. And people are out here doing a lot of good things on YouTube, man, right? Maybe some aren't, but there's a lot of people doing a lot of good things. So let's keep up the momentum on Flora. I'll be sharing stuff tonight. Thank you to each and every one of you. Boston Christian, I'll give you the last word because it is the best word. Prayers to Galen. Couldn't have said it any better. Short, sweet, and to the point. All right, everybody. I only have water tonight because I've been burping like Booger from Revenge of the Nerds, from Coach Kev Burgers. So I'm going to leave it to you. We're going to say tentacles. We're going to take a drink. I hope everyone has a great weekend. If I don't see or hear from you, love you all. Thank you all so much. Coach Kev, out.